Hello, this is Lisa Hazard and Misty Lure with We're All Psychic podcast. And today we have another special guest. As we all know, every guest is special. We have Ebby. Hey, Ebby, say hello.
Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hello.
We're good. We have a question for you. Misty, you feel like asking the question?
I would love to.
Oh,
Ebby,
this sounds really deep.
do you think that we're all psychic?
Well, yes, I think, well, here's the thing. I think everyone has the abilities, and it's just a matter of how much effort they make in clearing those abilities up. It's kind of like breathing. It's actually a sixth sense. It's like one of your other sensories. But have you ever met these people who say, I have a sensitive nose, so I can't be around this smell, or I have sensitive hearing, I can't be around these high pitches? It's the same thing.
That's a good example.
That is good.
You have these abilities, but if you're not honing them and you're distracted by your other senses, you're not going to develop them as well.
Right. That's a really good point. And then also, if you integrate all these senses with that sense, it can get really fun.
Exactly.
Well, thank you. That's a great answer. I totally agree with you. So we were listeners. I've been writing back and forth with Ebby, and we've been talking about the podcast. She's been in the business of being a professional psychic for how long?
I started reading in 1980, and I started doing this professionally around 1994.
Okay.
And then around that time is when I started really learning astrology, which is really a tough one to wrap your arms around. But that took me longer to integrate that in there, but took quite a bit. But I was able then to integrate numerology with the card reading and with my abilities. And so I would say my friend and I, we were starting like so many other people, doing the parties, doing the circa where you're doing it at fairs. And,
psychic fair. Yeah.
Yes, all those. So we paid our dues. And now, isn't it so much cooler?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing it in 1980. I was watching Star Wars, but but yeah, I started, listeners don't know this, but I started about 15 years ago. I just told Ebby that before we started. And it was, you were lucky. I mean, I can't imagine without a computer doing, I actually had a portal and stuff I could work with and see a call coming in and stuff starting out. But I can't imagine, what was it like when you first started reading professionally? How did it work?
Well, during that time, it would be that somebody would just hear about you, and they'd either come to you for a one-on-one or you would meet them somewhere. It was real interesting. We would, once places like Panera and those places opened up, Starbucks, coffee houses, it was really easy. And I belonged to a tarot group, and though that group was going about in all these areas, so it was easy. Bookstores. And then we got into the party circa, where you would do 10 to 15 readings on a Saturday night.
I love a party event. Oh, man, I'm going like 50 of them. I love that.
Exactly.
Crazy.
It was fun. And all the food and all that.
Yeah, the drinks.
You could drink. All of a sudden, your readings turned into drunk readings, and you were more accurate. And you were more.
I know. And everybody's happy.
You got at least excited.
Yeah, I love doing events, parties. That's probably one of my favorites. With COVID going on, it sucks. I haven't been able to do any, but that is a lot of fun.
But those were a lot of fun. But I think that once you start going more professional, and you're raising your prices, because now you're certified in many things like crystals and herbs and healings and intuitive medicine. You're getting these certifications, which are pretty costly. So you're investing in yourself. So now you're upping your game to your clients. Yeah. And now an hour reading is an hour reading, but what's the prep time that you're doing before you have that reading.
Your life.
Right? And then
Your
what's happening?
entire life.
What's happening after that? You're wrapping up the Zoom, you're sending it an email, so you want to make sure that you deliver a product and service to your clients that is the best you can deliver. And so
Yes.
now those days of having parties and feeding your face and driving home at 1 a.m. are a thing of the past. But now you're getting, I feel, I have clients that are more interested in their development and not just
Yes.
calling me to find out. And you guys can relate because you guys are also on a psychic network for readings. How can you recall a time when you got a client that was equivalent to this? My boyfriend's getting out of prison in a couple of months. I want to know if he's still going to love me.
Yeah, I just get does he love me questions a lot. Does he love me? I'd say
the one in
3 out of 4
prison was the
questions.
best.
I've heard that. Yes, I've heard that. Yeah, we've heard it all.
I have to ask, what was your reply?
Do you remember if he still loved her?
Well, that's when I started. She really helped me because that's the first person that I thought I'm doing her a disservice by answering her. I need to help my clients phrase questions in such a way that is better for them. Rather than asking me if your boyfriend who's been in prison for years is going to come back out and love you, how about if we find out why it's important for this person to love you? That is so much better of a question. How is this going to serve you? What's been holding you back? And
why did you love yourself? Yeah.
And once I started doing that, I felt like my clients, they just started upgrading. I started getting a better quality of.
You drew them to you, kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you got a word of mouth. I bet they were telling people, well, she really fixed this issue of me. And I don't need to be with the guy who's in prison for 8 years.
She may have gone back. She may have gone back.
Yeah.
But she's going to have that in the back of her thoughts. At some point, she's going to ask herself those questions. And that was a real benefit.
I love that.
I love that too.
That's exactly why I love to read cards too, is just to find out what the problem is and help fix it. I mean, that's what it's all about, I think. So I love that.
I usually,
exactly.
You're talking about, I love what you're talking about doing. For me, though, I kind of have to work up to it. I'm not going to, if like someone calls me and would ask me something like that, I would just like talk about the person, feel out the person I'm reading for to see how to say it. If they're receptive to that. That was kind of a skill I had to build, though. Like see if this client will be receptive to working on themselves. Or if I have 3 minutes, do I have 3 minutes or 5 or 10 or 20?
When's your birthday?
Mine?
When's your birthday, Lisa? Yeah.
It's April 30th, 1975.
Okay, what about you, Misty?
I am April 11th, 1977.
Okay, well, I can see the Taurus being a little more holding back and being more ginger about your delivery. But I look at it this way. If you went to a doctor, do you think a doctor is going to look at you and say, you know what, I'm not sure she can handle what I got to tell her. So I got to kind of wait and see if she's there. To me,
I wish they would talk at all. Doctors don't talk to me about anything. Tell me anything, please.
Well, think of that. Are they not telling you because on some level they're wondering, how do I tell her this? Or you know what I mean?
They don't know.
Well, that's
you would
why
not believe the health situations I'm in. Like the people do not communicate. They don't know what's going on or who I am when I talk to them.
Well, somebody said this to me and I thought it was so clever. Someone said that's why it's called practicing medicine. It's practicing.
Yes, it's like practicing witchcraft. It's practicing.
Yeah.
I like it.
Practicing.
So what changes have you seen?
Yeah.
So what changes have you seen coming up, like through all that? Like, what's the biggest change? The computers, I guess, or
everything. And the fact that people are not restricting themselves to time. Just because I've been reading since literally in the mid 80s is when I was really flying with the cards, right? Kids can now pick it up, and because of Pokemon, they
Yes.
can
Yeah.
make that
Yeah.
transition over, right? So they're able
Yes.
to. My nephew could read the Lenormand deck when I have pictures of him when he was 5 years old,
I love it.
reading that. I had nieces reading cards, and when they were 8, 9 years old, it's no longer a thing of, oh, it's sacred. You got to put so
No.
much time. It's like
Yeah.
anyone can do this, just
Yeah.
so
And they're
that's been a
closer.
big.
My son
Yeah.
Terry, he was a Pokemon freak. I never put it together, but he's great with the card. He learns from me. He's learned from me. He learns on his own, and he's really gotten good. He's a little, nervous about giving a reading, but he's great at it when he does it. And he's 21. But yeah, he played Pokemon like cards and games.
It was if they
Well,
can if they can memorize all those cards, it's no different, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well,
That's
see, I'm
right.
doing that. That's so funny you said that because I started with my grandson and he's 3. And I just think that their energy is so much closer spiritually when they're young. And, they don't have that self-doubt. And so, when they pick that card, I really think that they're better at it than we are.
It's fresh.
Yeah. And I have fun with him sometimes. And what's funny is he always picks the correct card. Yeah, always.
Of course he does.
Fails. Yeah.
Oh, my nephew is on the spectrum, and when he would read, we would throw the cards in front of him, and he knew them like this. He knew the accurate.
Wow.
Because he had such an ability to recall, right? But
yes.
he would end everything with, and then you die. And we'd be like, why is he saying that? And he'd say, you're going to get a new job, but then you die. Oh, you're going to go on a trip and then you die. And so we would be like trying to
hammering home
mouth.
that reality there.
Yeah, he'd be like, then you die.
Well, he is right. We're all going to die. Yeah.
There's a prediction you can't say that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
He wants to be accurate about something.
We're all going to die.
That's one of the things is getting past the stigma that those of us who do this as a profession, that no one else can do it.
Right.
And I love that so many of the psychics out there right now are mentoring not only their clients, but other people and telling them, you can do what I do. It's not, don't just come to me. You got to learn to start having confidence in yourself, to listening to your own higher awareness. Because and I know you guys, I'm sure you guys, I just met you, but how many of us have, how many of us have had clients who try and latch on and become dependent on us for everything?
You have to step back.
Yeah, you've
make
got
the boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to do
and
also
themselves. They're not listening. They don't want to hear the answer that you're giving them. They don't like that answer.
I think in regards to clients that I've had, that I'm mostly working with their psychic energy, because the way I usually present what you're talking about, if someone's showing an interest in that side, I'll be like, you're already doing it. And I'll point out where you probably can do this, Ebby. You can probably be like, I can tell that you can blah, blah, blah. You're an empath, or you're a telepath, or you can sense physical things. You can just tell that about people if you talk to them, your clients, especially when you're working, right? And you can tell them, well, this is how you're already doing it. So, I do this to my husband. He still won't believe me. I'll prove it every time we go out to eat or something. He'll go, and I'll be like, you just know what happened to everybody, what everyone's thinking about. He's like, no. He's like, I was like, you did that for 2 minutes and around not 20 seconds really. And he's like, well, this person, and he told me, what was wrong. Like, this person's back hurting, and he was saying it's because of the way they're standing or because of this or that. And I was like, you don't do it that fast, Well, yeah, I try to show them where they're already doing it,
His logic is only supporting what he's already picking up. That's all.
Yeah.
He just thinks the logic is first. So that's one way that I think it's changed. And obviously technology. I love Zoom. I love that my clients are now having to get used to being on Zoom and being on more calls, because it's really hard when you would do it in person and you have one client leaving and another one coming in, it's just too much. Whereas you can schedule better. I love Acuity Scheduler. Where they can, it goes on. It's on my website. So when you put your appointment time in, I can block my time. I can set my time aside for this or that. I love
I'm gonna pick your brain about that.
Yeah,
love
that's good.
I'll find out about that.
When people say to us, do you think you had a better childhood than the kids today because they have technology and they weren't outside? Oh, I would have killed to have what they have today.
No,
Yeah,
I would have had
that's
friends in
it.
high school. I would have had like good
Yeah.
friends on my my MMORPG with my, my elven self and my, paladin friend and my wizard friend. I mean, that's what I would have had in high school. I didn't really have fun in high school. I was kind of a dork.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got lost a lot. I like to get really lost when I'm driving. And
Oh,
so
gosh.
if I would have had that as a kid, I could have been a lot more places. But I was scared to go anywhere because I get lost.
Me, well, Misty, I get lost a lot too. And my brother would say, doesn't that aggravate you that you get lost so much? And I'm like, no, you just change where you're going,
Yeah, that's right. Rerouting it.
Change that perspective. That's great.
Yes, I love it.
I think one of my favorite things is definitely the technology as well. And plus, like you said, right off, the people, their attitudes are changing. They want to know what's special about them and they want to know what they can do. And when, if I figure it out, or if I do cards and ask, or a guide tells me to tell them, blah, 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 you say it this way. A guides, I don't know if you work with guides, Ebby, but I do a lot. And they're like, hey, blah, blah. Hey, bring this up. Hey, but they don't do it like that. They like present themselves and like, you got something? Help? Help
Yeah.
And they'll usually, they're like, why don't you ask her about the time she heard something that wasn't there, and et cetera, et cetera. And then it brings up like what they're already doing or how they're already and I like to ask also, like, it kind of gets interesting if you can get a client who will talk about their ghost experiences, because most of the time they're not wanting to talk about that because they're spending money on the phone. But in person in Alabama, I don't charge as much because the income's lower here, and as that like on Everclear, I wouldn't charge that here because no one would afford it.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying. See, I go to Texas a lot. And so I had clients in Texas, I had clients here, but what I realized one time I was having a client in Texas, and I was in the restaurant throwing cards, and my client was in her car because she didn't want anyone to see that she was having her cards thrown. And then after that, I thought, you know what, I'm doing something wrong here, because in Illinois, nobody cares. But in this smaller town, people care, right?
Yes.
But
here's how
something here. You can learn from this, Lisa, by put the value of your service, and this is for the podcast. If you want to be a professional, put the price of your service at what it's truly valued at, because here's the thing, your clients are not just coming from Alabama. I have people in England, I have people in Switzerland, I have people in Canada, I have people all over. It's not just Alabama, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to put that
I was meaning like the in-person type readings, I think other than like, I have a few clients, long-term clients in like Louisiana and California, like from way back. But I don't really collect other clients anymore. I just, if I'll do local in person, I'm going to start doing it again anyway. Because if you see this, listeners, I have built myself a she tent, as Melanie from a previous podcast has called it, and it stuck. So I have this tent in my backyard. It's a pop-up gazebo, and I'm hoping to start doing the in-person readings again, because there's like a lot of distance. I've had the vaccine, from what I'm seeing, there's probably going to still be a lot of the social distancing and stuff like that. And I really miss them. But around here, most of the people in our cities, like our towns, they're not really cities. They really can't afford the Everclear prices, but I can get the prices that I get, from Everclear from people who can afford it. And then around here, I can help out people for the rates they can afford it at,
Exactly.
So.
And another thing, what I suggest people to do if they start out, where they want to do in person, because that kind of does build up their confidence, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
So here you can do that. I would proclaim every Saturday from 9 to 2. I'm going to be doing readings for whoever shows up at this discounted price. And then they know to count on you. They know you're going to be there, or she's only there the third Saturday of the month.
Did you say 9 a.m.?
Okay, so maybe not. Maybe not.
She did. She did. Yeah. That
Obviously,
means
I
she had to
don't
be
know
there
you.
earlier to set up.
I have a question too. I just
So what?
little off topic, but it's really interesting. You say throw cards. I've never heard that before. Throw cards, that term. Where did you get that term? I've never heard of throw cards.
I've always heard that. I've never heard it said any other way.
I always call it like
I like it.
I love it. I'm going to be using that. That's great. Throw cards, because that's what it kind of feels like sometimes.
Yeah. All right, now I got it.
Yeah.
Now let me ask both of you: how many decks do you have?
Ooh, I can't count.
I'm
so many.
But I've got about
how many do you
10,
have?
12.
Yeah,
I just did. How many do you have?
I don't know. I've even made a deck. So, I mean, I've had so many decks of my own that I've made that are misprints. I mean, I just have like a ton. I mean, I have 2 sitting right next to me right now and a guidebook to another one. So when I'm outside, I don't know why they came out here, but they did.
I don't have any.
I've got about 15. I'm counting them.
Okay, I think I have, counting the ones I have in Texas, I think I have around 55, something like that.
Wow.
Oh, no.
I would love to see your deck.
No. My friends. I have one friend, Janet. This is a shout out to you, Janet. She has over 2,000.
Wow.
What? Oh, her.
I bet she's been collecting for a minute. Yeah.
That's a dream.
Her and my friend Nikki, I have been after them for decades to let me do a book. I would love to do a book with like a one of those reference books that has all their cards in there, and what they feel about
like
the
a
deck.
Coffee table book.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
you're an idea machine.
Yeah.
I like the idea.
So I'm really pushing them for this, but I thought how cool to have them dressed like tourists in the cover of all these tarot cards.
Yeah. Great. Let them know if any of your friends or anybody's interested in being on the podcast. They're welcome to. You got my email. Just let them know.
Yeah,
sounds like you have she told us about some things she does with other psychics and groups and stuff on Zoom and before the podcast, and it just sounds like, Ebby, it sounds like you do a lot in this field, and you are very grounded for being in this field, I must say.
I'm very lucky that I belong to a tribe. Our spirit group is we call ourselves Spirit 9.0. And Spirit Group 9.0. And it started off where we thought, the dimensions moving up.
9 dimensions, 11.
Yeah, and then at one point it turned into how many bottles of wine we were going through on a Thursday. But now after Zoom, we are back to the dimensions, so yeah.
That's great.
And they're all like that. Great. I'm very lucky because our group is completely grounded. We are so good at making sure that we're balanced because it's important. That's another thing. Swinging back around to what you asked. If you're thinking of being a professional, you really need to have your life together because the energy that you're throwing and you're doing readings on is going to spill over to your client. And would you go to a financial advisor who's constantly in bankruptcy for advice?
Unless that's a strategy, no.
Yeah, right.
It's a bad strategy, though. So.
Like here's the thing. I always tell people, okay, like let's say I came to you and I was having an affair. And you threw the cards, what would you say? Well, first of all, that's not right. You can't bring your judgment in. You don't bring your judgment in because everybody's idea is the person's never going to leave their partner for you, right? Because that's what people say. But what if the cards are showing that this person is in alignment and they could have a happy life, but because of your perspective, you're putting your opinion on that. You've got to read what the cards say if you're a card reader,
Absolutely. And if you do work with guides, yeah, you know, for me, if there's anyone's listening who works with guides and they instruct, my guides are so funny and peaceful, and
Mhm.
they're always like to catch me. You know, I trust them, so they're not gonna.
Yeah.
There's very unless they're making a joke just for me, I'm gonna, you know, work with them and tell the clients what they say. Usually, you know, because it's what they need to hear most of the time, and I won't always know why
Right.
until they say, oh
Exactly.
well, blah blah blah, you know.
Yes.
So,
How
Misty, do you have a question? Misty's considering going professional. She's not a professional reader yet, but she's thinking about it. Do you have a Misty? Do you want to ask her some questions? What she would advise? Oh, I think we lost Misty. Oh, there she is. She's coming
there
back.
she is. Yeah, she's coming back.
She's
Yay!
coming back. She's back. Did you hear
I
any of that,
am
Misty?
here. I did. I heard all of it.
That was
I
crazy.
did.
Okay. Do you have questions?
Yeah, I have questions. Of course, I have questions.
Okay.
Okay, you started at a time, like you were saying, you know, in the 80s, you know, where it was so much harder to do it than it is now. Can you tell me a little bit about your journey and how what drawn you to start doing this in the first place? And how long did it take for you to actually feel confident in yourself doing it?
To do
Yeah,
professionally?
I've
Yeah, that's a good question.
I've always been intuitive as a child, and my grandmother she was a great healer. So I was always observing. I was the observer to people coming to my grandmother for healing. And as a small child, my mother would take me to the local healer in the small town that our family was from in Texas. So I was always exposed. And then my aunt
I love that.
introduced me to a woman in Chicago, a Cuban woman who's no longer with us, and she was amazing. And she would read the shells, and she was just amazing. She was very, very amazing and so accurate. And I just kept thinking, I want to do this. And I always knew things. I was very perceptive, and like I was very good at being able to see things before they could happen. So it and I was always a confident kid. So I never had an issue with feeling confident or being gingerly. We That was one of our discussions in one of our groups was how do you tell your client, what if a client has some really bad news? How
Me
comfortable
too.
are
Yeah.
you? You know, so it's all about diplomacy and knowing that you're there to give a service. I had to tell a woman once, she had one question. I only have one question. I need to know, am I going to get a kidney? That was it. And I threw the cards. There you go, threw them. And I told her, no, you're not. You're not going to get the kidney, but the cards showed that there was a lot of turmoil in her family and a lot of strife, a lot of arguing. And I told her that she was at the center of all infighting going on. And before she left this world, didn't she feel a sense of responsibility to help her children bridge their relationships before she exits? And she died not long after that reading. And I didn't know, because you know how it is at parties. You only know they're when they
Right.
show up, you don't know who's with who. So that always
Yeah.
stuck with me because she did make that effort. She did help her children. And if I would have tried to candy coat it, how am I being of service to her?
Right.
So
You're
my
right.
main
You're right.
advice is what you see is what you get. And if it's not meant for them to know it, you won't be told.
That's so true. That is so true.
I
Because
like
like
that.
if
I
I were to
love
get
that.
that question, I don't know if I would get an answer because I probably wouldn't want to know it too. That's
Mm.
another thing, you know.
Yeah.
If they're not
Yeah.
ready or I don't want to have to deliver it, I would if it was asked of me. But if
Mhm.
it's not, if I'm not the right person to do it, then it's not going to happen. You know, it wouldn't come
Yeah.
to me. You know, it would come naturally.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, that's
That's
really
a
a good
hard
benefit.
question.
That's a big benefit to have this, like this, especially in around the 80s and 70s and stuff. Have that around you growing up and be accepted.
Yes.
That's where a lot of the insecurities I think come from
Yes.
for people, especially in the newer generations too, like the younger people in their 20s and teens and stuff, starting out with this stuff, learning cards, learning energy. We're learning a lot of the people around here, like Wiccan and stuff and witchcraft, and they associate with deities and this and that. And like I worked at a metaphysical shop for a few, like before COVID started. I did for a little while, and wow, you just, I don't know if you've ever worked in a shop, but you hear some interesting things. I mean, you see the things.
Everything.
Missy's been up the shops before, yeah, and you do hear everything at the shops, and not in readings, but people who come up there because they don't have anywhere else to take it, you know.
Right, exactly. But here's the
Yeah,
cool thing: the
especially a
young
small
people,
town.
the people that are young today are children of their parents are your age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they have cooler
Yeah,
parents. My parents were cool. We were very open
I
about a lot
agree.
of things, but for a kid to say I want this tarot card, he's probably talking to a mother who also had tarot cards, even if it was just for high school and she never looked at them again.
Hmm.
There's a lot
Right.
easier things for them to look into,
Pendulum.
now. Yeah, the pendulum. And not only that, your
Yes.
parents can go
Yes.
online and look these things up, whereas before they didn't
Right.
have a frame of reference.
That is a brilliant point. A
Yeah.
parent can look it up
Yeah.
if they don't know about it. They can watch a video on it, and there's lots of
Exactly.
options. There are lots of ways to find out all kinds of opinions about what this is from, all kinds of sources. So that's good point. I've
You
not
know,
thought about that.
that is good, but it's bad too. Because let me tell you guys, I just now learned about this, and I don't know exactly what it is called, but basically, it's getting these kids to try and bring themselves in like another dimension. Okay. I don't know if y'all heard anything about this, but like my daughter was telling me about it, and it's kind of like them leaving their bodies and going
Like
other
astral
places, and they're
projection,
kind of
or
showing them how to do it. That's what I first thought, but it's just it's like they're giving them this stuff, but these kids don't have enough information to know what they're doing, and that can be very, very dangerous. If you
See,
don't know what
I
you're
don't
doing
know.
and you're trying to go to another dimension, and I don't know. It's kind of scary to me.
Well,
I
I
think,
feel very
yeah,
confident with it. I feel real confident with it because it's a natural state. All the information that's online that you're looking up is just our own limited beliefs being put out there.
somebody wrote it,
Them,
somebody
yeah,
said it,
somebody
yeah.
wrote it, and they can dive as deep as they want in it. But going back to your question, like how I got here, one of the things this would be helpful to you. One of the things I did was I signed up for the Silva method. So in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, and this was a big deal, the Silva mind control. And now I think it's
Oh,
called
I know
the
what you're
Silva
talking about.
method. Now
I
it's
know what you're
called the
talking about.
Silva method. So that taught
Okay.
you a lot of astral travel and out of body and all these things. But those are really our natural states. So it's not a thing that you'll get stuck in. You won't get stuck in another place. But I think that, it's like one of those things with kids is they start discovering these things, and then they add a twist to it in order to uh I don't want to say brag, but when they're talking to their friends, they make it way more dramatic than what it is. Remember?
Exciting. They're kids.
Yeah.
Kids exaggerate.
Yeah.
Of
I've
course.
been known to
Yes.
exaggerate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is
As a
more
Remember?
like a
46-year-old.
game too. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Remember
yeah.
when there's always a
Yeah.
time where
And
there was
we all do that too. Yeah.
remember in high school there was always the girl who started the ball rolling on witchcraft, and then everybody started wearing goth things, and everybody was having a
No
lot
one
of
did
people,
Oh
not
that. They
yeah.
everybody.
didn't do that in Alabama, not in my high school.
Oh,
They didn't
well,
do that. I
and
would
it
have loved it, but that didn't happen in my high school.
so there's a stigma, but at the same time there's a vibe that is considered cool for the kids that don't fit in, so
Yeah,
they
yeah.
gravitate to that. But I think dark is dark, at low energy, low vibration energy, whether you're dabbling in tarot cards or astral projection or not doing any of those things, even if you are of a fundamentalist religion, any of those things, low vibration energy is going to come out as low vibration. So it's not, necessarily because of what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah, but
it's
what
what's
I'm
happening
wondering
inside
is
you that's coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm wondering is, do they really know how to handle that? Is really
I
what I was
think no
wondering.
more. Okay, have you ever done astral projection?
Not
Um,
me.
I
Missy. Yeah.
I've
If I
tried.
have, I have, but I
I'm not
didn't
there
know I was
yet.
doing it. Yeah, I mean, I
Okay,
did it when I
see,
was
Yeah,
little, but I didn't know I was doing it, and it scared me. And I popped back in my body. I was
yeah,
like, "What's
yeah.
going
My mom did. My mom did
on?"
when she was young, and she did the same thing. Yeah.
see, so we can't really put an age thing on it because here we are older and some people can and can't do it at this age or so it's not really an age thing. I think
No,
it's more of an
yeah.
alignment,
No, I
more of
don't
a
think it's it.
Like a state of mind. For me, I just can't
yes,
cross that. I can't
exactly.
get there. I can't get there. But it's kind of interesting every time I practice and try to. It's only been in recent years that when I was in middle school, we used to try to have, we called them OBS, out of body experience, OBing.
Oh.
We were seventh grade. We had to shorten it and make it catchy. So we were like, we'll meet at the mall tonight at midnight. Let's all go to
Oh
sleep at
yeah,
10,
yeah.
and we try, but we never did. I mean, if we did, we didn't remember, but we would try that a lot. And I was just like, I could never do it. And even to this, so like more recently in the past year or so, I've been trying again, and I was just about to pop on out. And then my cat will stop me. My cat doesn't want me to. He's saying it's not time. He's like, you're in that. He's like, oh, he's just right there, and he just gets all over my
Well,
face.
I was just wondering though. I mean, I know it has nothing to do with like the age. I'm just like wondering about the experience that they have. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Again, I think that it doesn't really have
It
anything
doesn't
to do with
matter.
no, I think that it really is about and like you just said earlier, kids are so pure. That's our natural
They
state.
are. They
You
are.
know, that's
Yes,
our
they
natural
are.
state. I have my nephew had a really hard time with depth perception, and he was stuck at the top of our stairs. And after 40 minutes of his mother trying to get him to come down the stairs, he was just paralyzed with fear. And I went up there and I just talked to him and said, "How about if you try this? Jump out of your body, send yourself down to the door, and call in the Josiah that knows how to go down the stairs. He'll go down the stairs, stop at the door, and you jump back in, switch again, and
So
then
he's not really
go on
there.
with your day."
He's not really
Right.
doing it.
Call the
Okay.
you that can do this. And he did that. Now, I was going
Hmm.
to, I had to go through a lot of medical stuff in the recent years. And that's what I would do. I would get in the elevator. I would stay in the elevator. And then the Ebby that could go through the whatever she needed to go through was the one in the office and going through all those things. I just waited in the elevator.
I like that idea. That's a
Mhm.
really
I
good
love it.
trick.
I love it.
You
Well,
can do
that makes
anything
me
with the
feel a
imagination.
little bit better.
Yeah, you can do
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
with your imagination, and if you can get it to a kid and give your imagination reach their imagination, because theirs are just
Yes,
anything's
exactly.
possible for like a little kid. There's no like,
Yeah.
there's not anything written down yet that isn't real for sure. I mean,
Exactly.
they don't
Well,
or they
yeah,
know
they're
everything.
pure. They're
They're
pure.
figuring it out.
But I mean, when they get a little bit older, I start to wonder, like in their teenage years, and they're, doing all this
Well, they
stuff.
can't
It
get
scares
pregnant in
me.
astral form.
That's true. That's true.
Or can they?
And
Yeah.
and
You never
hopefully
know.
hopefully with all the work you do in mentoring them and being a good grandmother that listens to them and gives them a place to come to and talk to you about these things without fear that you're going to judge them, you're going to encourage and help them in any way, they're they're going to be able to hear that higher awareness, that higher self come through a lot stronger,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what we can hope for. I think, Misty,
Yeah, you're right.
you'll really enjoy being a professional also if you love being of service to people.
Oh, she
you,
does.
you know
She
we
Yeah,
does.
that's my thing.
yeah,
She is of service.
Yeah.
She's there. She's
Yes.
helping everybody.
Yeah.
And she knows somebody
That's
everywhere
my
who she
thing.
can help you out. Like if I have a problem, any issue whatsoever, she will know somebody. And they want to help her. And they want to help her. Like big time.
See, so you're a connector.
I love to
You're a
help.
She is.
connector.
Yeah.
She is.
Yeah.
So, Abby, where can people find you if they want to? Like, they can find you on Everclear, and I'd like to also at this time say thank you to our sponsor, Everclear, where
Yes,
you
thank
can go. It's an app, it's a website, and you can find the guidance you need to create the life you deserve through psychics and empaths on this platform. And Abby and I are both on there. So, Abby,
Yes.
what's your name on Everclear?
On Everclear, it's Ebby Crow, and you can find me at my website for crow readings at www.crowreadings.com, and also on Facebook, Crow Readings.
I'll put all that information in the description of the podcast along with your Everclear number so they can give you a call. And is there any last words you have for anyone who's listening?
Have fun.
That's
fun.
right.
Because if you're not having fun, it's just not going to work.
Yes, it's not.
And
it's supposed to be fun.
Have fun and always don't feel like you've got it all, and you can just rest on your laurels. There's always something to learn, always better and better.
Yes.
You're right.
Better perspectives. Yeah.
That's the fun part. Yeah. There's always something to learn.
I have really enjoyed. You have so much wisdom, and you have a great way of putting things. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast. If you want to come back, or if any of your people that you know would like to be a guest, I would love to have them. So just let us know. Let me know. And
thank you, Lisa and Misty.
Thank you so much. This has been one of the coolest podcasts. Yeah, this is awesome. And listeners, we love you, listeners. Thank you so much for listening. I know, right? I don't want to go either. No, you have to stay, Abby. Okay, we'll let you leave. And thank you, listeners. And over and out. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, ladies.